Good, Ceann Comhairle. Taoiseach, Ukraine applied for EU membership in February 2022 and was granted candidate status not long after that. Since then, significant progress has been made, with the screening process reportedly completed in September 2025. I wonder if you could update us on the current status of Ukraine's accession talks and, if available, progress on any required reforms and the key milestones that remain. Also, how precisely is Ireland supporting Ukraine's accelerated integration into the Union, especially given ongoing political challenges from some member states? And finally, could you outline Ireland's diplomatic efforts to help build consensus among EU partners for Ukraine's full and timely accession?
Well, I first of all say that in terms of Deputy Shay Brennan's questions, and he has raised the key issues of Ukraine's accession process. Now, Ukraine have responded very well to the framework that governs accession. Basically, it has reformed, it has carried out a lot of reforms, which the Commission has acknowledged to the membership of the EU Council, and have said that Ukraine have been extremely positive in terms of meeting the various standards. One of the big issues we have is Hungary continues to oppose the opening of the formal opening of the first chapter, even though we would argue that the European Council had agreed to the accession process earlier in an earlier vote over a year ago. But meanwhile, parallel to that, there's a kind of a parallel negotiating process in terms of approximating Ukraine to the various standards that would apply to different chapters. But it is very, very regrettable that Hungary has behaved in such a manner which is really endeavouring to stifle and stop Ukraine from joining. But key milestones have been reached. There's ongoing interaction between the Commission. We have offered support in terms of personnel, in terms of people who would have experience with the European Union formally from Ireland to help with Ukraine. We've offered funding in terms of on the humanitarian side and so forth. But also what we can do, and we do with other accession states, is in terms of training of public servants or utilising the IPA and so on. So we're very open to helping the country on progressing the reforms and understanding how the EU works. But we've been strongest in terms of, at every meeting, making sure that this is on the agenda. And in fact, going back to the last government, I would have been one of the minority at the time in and around 21 pushing for accession. From a geopolitical perspective, I think it's a no-brainer. It has to happen. And that has helped the Western Balkans, even though the Western Balkans were worried that Ukraine would go ahead with Moldova. Now it's accepted that enlargement as an issue is back firmly on the EU table, where it was fairly dormant for 10 years, if we're honest. And it can be a long process, and Hungary is really undermining the process. But we're working with Hungary and we're working with others. And my latest encounter with the President of the Council, Antonio Costa, was on Ukraine membership.